Dave, do
I
you
want
have
to ask
a
some
Twitch or
questions.
anything? Not a Twitch, Twitter.
Twitch? Yeah, I do have a Twitch actually.
Oh, you do have a
Yeah, no,
Twitch.
I do have a Twitter. Yes.
Okay. What? Let me go to Twitter real quick.
Okay. Everyone asks me what my account names are, and I actually forget what half they are. Half of them are sometimes, or what the actual profile is. So it's at Steve Hamm actor.
Steve Hamm.
Yeah.
There you are, right there. All right. Let me tweet this out. Oops.
Let's see.
All right, I got everything shared to Facebook.
All right. Typing classes
Should
come
be
in
blowing
handy,
up with
boys.
me on here. Jeez, you know. What's that? Oh yeah, right.
All right. I guess I'll do the ad read tonight if you want.
Yeah, it's about damn time.
All right, I'll do it then. Damn you. All right, let me restart. Three, two, one. Hey guys, you want to know something? You can go over to patreon.com/ompodcast and you can give us money to keep this show going because guess what? It's free for you. It's not free for us. So if you want to keep Jacob fed, because look at the kid, he's wasting away. He needs food in his belly. Give us money every month. Just a couple of dollars will keep Jacob fed and off the streets and out of trouble because he's a troubled young man. So if you want to keep him off the streets, give us money, just a little bit. Patreon.com/ompodcast. Ooh, you know what that music means? It is Thursday night, and it's time for the Open Micers podcast. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm recently promoted troubled youth Jacob Craig, and our guest tonight is an actor who you have seen multiple times on Law and Order. You've seen him on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Please, we'll talk to him about all of his acting roles, everything you could want to talk to him about. Please welcome Mr. Steve Hamm to the podcast. How are you doing, Mr. Steve Hamm?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me as a guest. I am really honored and humbled.
Well, we're honored and humbled to have you. I'm doing well. I have a roof over my head. Not for long though, because no one's subscribing to our Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
yes, I mentioned you have been on Law and Order multiple times, not just once. You've been on there multiple times in multiple different roles. I mean, what's it like getting on that set, and what's it like coming back for different roles?
Well, I had to make a correction for you on that. Apparently, I get this a lot, and there's multiple Steve Hams out there. So actually, if you do an IMDb search of Stephen P. Ham with
Yeah,
the
that's the one
P,
I found.
yeah, I've actually never been on Law and Order, so it's a misnomer that people seem to happen to fall into. So
Yeah, it's the same
Damn
thing that happens to.
IMDb.
It's the same thing that happened to me. There's
okay,
like 50 Jason
yeah,
Robbins,
yeah,
so I had to use Jason N. Robbins for my
Wait,
yeah.
shit.
There's
IMDb.
Which
like
one are you?
He's
me,
Stephen P. Ham.
correct,
No, you're
yeah.
Jason N. Robbins. I don't want to have a podcast with you. I thought you were the original.
No, I'm not. Well, a lot of the
He
other
is an
Jason Robbins
original,
are
yeah.
like grips and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah. There's multiple Steve Hams out there that are, there's other actors with that name, believe it or not. And yeah, other movie set jobs as well. So I had to actually go with Stephen P. Ham just to differentiate myself.
let
But
that
I do
be.
get a lot of the Law and Order things and a bunch of other stuff that, just to
So,
set the record straight, I've never been on there before.
so let that be a lesson to some of you younger actors out there. Is there's probably going to be multiple people with your name, so always check
Yeah.
that the IMDb when you're starting your career. So you may have to use a middle initial or a stage name or
Right.
something like that. But one of the things I saw, because I actually went to the right IMDb, not like Jacob.
Good for you.
I'm gonna
is
fucking kill myself, dude. This isn't even the first time this has happened. Like, I think
Oh,
I'm so
okay.
cool doing all this research and bullshit, fucking writing notes and shit.
that you're
God
fired.
damn it.
Get out.
It's-
You're off the
it's-
podcast. I'm turning off your camera now.
I know everything
Well, I
I wrote
appreciate
is
you.
just gone.
I appreciate you making me look cool though, but I had to just set the record straight because I don't need people from like a Dick Wolf set or whatever calling me and saying, "Hey, dude, you never been on the show before. Quit, trying to set a bad
Yeah.
example or precedent." So I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I would love to be on a Dick Wolf project of some sort. That would be awesome. Someday.
Absolutely, Dick Wolf. If you're watching, he actually watches the show. Dick Wolf,
Nice.
get him on Law and Order, man.
Nice.
Yeah. Or Chicago PD. That's like one of my favorites, actually.
But one of the cool things I noticed about your past is you were actually a helicopter pilot in the Army before you became an
was.
actor. How take us from going out of high school, you became a mechanic, then you became a pilot in the Army, and then you went to acting. How does that take us through that journey there?
Yeah, that's a unique journey. So basically, yeah, I after graduating high school, my dad actually he wanted me to go to one of the military academies, and of course, being 18, young, rebellious, you're like, yeah, I'm not in the mood for it. I wasn't ready for it. My grades weren't all the greatest either, but they were still passing. So I figured I needed to do something. But I was pretty much groomed for the military from an early age, so I decided to join the Army and got a job as a helicopter mechanic. I did that for about 8 years. And then, of course, you hang around pilots, see them fly and everything like that. You're like, hey, that'd be kind of cool to do. And fortunately, the Army does provide a flight training program. So I applied, quite lengthy process, but I got accepted. And then the rest is history. So I did flying and I officially retired after 23 and a half years.
Wow.
So 2013, I retired officially and went right into a helicopter light flight job. So I still fly to this day and I do acting on the side.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to learn how to fly a helicopter. That's one of my bucket list things is to fly a helicopter.
Well, you should definitely give it a shot. It's much different than an airplane. I mean, I'm not qualified to fly airplanes, but there's a lot more involved. There's 3 different flight controls that you got to manage and a bunch of other things. So it takes a while. Once you learn how to hover, though, the rest is easy.
Well, it's a perfect skill to have because the zombie apocalypse is going to happen one of these days, and that helicopter
Probably,
pilot's
yeah.
a skill you're going to want to have in the apocalypse. The only problem is finding fuel.
As long as
for
you don't
it.
get to go. Right. Don't get too close to the ground when they're around because they can jump up and grab you and then you're really screwed.
Well, I don't know. Did you ever see was it the day after? Not day after tomorrow. What was that zombie movie?
28 days later.
28 weeks later, where he had the helicopter and he kind of went along the ground with the blades and just started chopping up zombies. That's the skill you need right there.
That is the skill. Yeah, no doubt. Decapitation works every time.
So under here it said you've done improv too, like comedy
Yes.
improv.
Well, basically it's improv classes, basically, improvisation. So it's a really essential skill set to have as an actor, especially when you go in for auditions, because the cast director, whoever's in the room, can ask you to maybe do the character a different way or do something else different, and you just gotta be able to think quick on your feet and just be creative and let your imagination flow and do whatever you can. So that's a very key essential task skill to have. So I take I do an acting class, private class with a acting coach out of California, LA, and we do basically 10 to 15 minutes of improv training prior to the actual acting coaching. So it's fun to do, really.
Yeah, I used to take acting classes from Jeremy London, and we used to do improv a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't been since. I started taking from Gary Grubbs too. I'm not sure if you know who Gary Grubbs is.
No.
He's a Well, he's a character actor. He was pretty much your go-to bad guy back in the '90s, and he's been on a lot of TV shows like MASH and things like that. You know him if you saw him, but he does classes down
Yeah.
here on the coast too,
Okay.
and he doesn't really do too much of like Meisner or anything like that. It's more like scene
Yeah.
study. So
Yeah.
that's another good thing if you're a young actor is take different classes from different people because you're going to get different you're going to get different teaching techniques too from different
Absolutely.
acting coaches.
Yeah.
So what draw you or what drew you to acting in the first place? Like what made you want to really pursue that as a career option?
Well, so about 6 months before I retired, I just had this weird thought crawl in my head. Hey, why don't you try taking an acting class? I don't know where it came from. I was like, hey, sure, why not? So I did find a acting workshop. I was in Tennessee at the time, and there were some class or um establishments in the Nashville area. So I chose one, and it's called the Actors Workshop, and it was run by a guy named Alan Dysert. He used to be a full contract player on All My Children back in the day. But so we did basically a weekend workshop of cold reads. And if anyone's not familiar with what a cold read is, basically you get on stage, they give you a script, and you just enact you act out the script based on what's there, but you have no prior knowledge of what the script is, what the words are. So you're reading cold off the sheet, and you're just using whatever skills you have to make the scene come alive and the character come alive. So it's really a good improv practice, really, just to get it done. So after doing that workshop, I was definitely bitten by the acting bug because it was very exhilarating and liberating to be on stage to do that. So I was like, yeah, I definitely want to pursue this more. So once I retired officially and moved up to the Ohio area and found a, a agency that would represent me, and I've just been following it ever since. So there you go.
So do you it says here you've done some theater too. Do you prefer theater acting or film acting?
It's totally a different skill set for theater acting. That was it. My theater thing was actually back in high school, but I would do both, but I think I'd prefer movie acting personally. I mean, theater acting is, you're doing it probably multiple days of, of a certain time period, but it's just different. So it doesn't matter to me, but maybe I would kind of prefer movie acting.
Yeah, that's always the thing with me is theater acting always seems kind of scary because you actually have to memorize the entire script.
Right.
I'm good at memorizing maybe 2 or 3 pages at a time, but that's about
Yeah.
it. That's about the limit of my ability to remember stuff.
Bro, you can't
Yeah.
even memorize 3 jokes in a
I
row.
know, like the older I get, I can't even remember my punchlines anymore.
Oh, that's not good as a comedian.
Yeah, I know. We had a ceremony a few weeks ago, the awards for our local kind of comedy troupe thing, and I won the Alzheimer's award for being able to forget my my punchlines. So,
Oh man, that'd probably be me one day here soon. Oh.
so Jacob,
But
did you actually pull up the right page to ask him questions, or are you still on the other Steve Hamm?
you're in the right page. Shut the fuck up. Yes, I put up the right goddamn page.
I
I do
have to
see
make
here,
fun of you about something, man.
well, at least I didn't break my headphones before we went live like a fucking buffoon.
Well, I got a melon head. What do you expect?
Anyways, back to our guest, Jason. I do see here that you were on the series Mindhunter in the first season. Now, obviously, that was
Yeah.
before it became this huge
Yeah.
show. So, I mean, what was it like being on this show and then watching it just blow up, and become a huge thing?
It was cool to be in the scene. It was. I'm in the background for season 1, episode 10. It's a bar scene, and you actually see me behind the three main characters. So it was shot in the Pittsburgh area, and it was pretty much several hours to shoot just that one scene. The director wanted it shot at least like 15 different times, and you see the different kinds of things they do and what everyone has to go through, and it's a unique experience. But the interesting thing is that when I was applying for that role online, it was like late at night one night, and then I'm a few days later, I think I'm walking into to get something done, some kind of errand, and I get a phone call from my agent saying, "Hey, so these people from the series Mindhunter just called, and they'd like you to audition for one of the roles." And I was just totally shocked. I was like, "What?" And back then, had I known better, I would have like taken probably a vacation day off work and gone to audition. But I was like, "Well, I got to work that day, and I can't make it." So obviously they did cast someone else, but it was just crazy how what I really applied for. And the next thing you know, you get a call to audition for one of the bigger roles. So hindsight being 2020, I mean, I could have been a series regular on the show like that by now. So, but it was still a good experience.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. I've never acted before in my life, but I did have a chance to be in the movie One Night in Miami, which is an Amazon original, and I'm seeing that like everywhere in the media right now. One Night in Miami is just plastered everywhere, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, I chose to do comedy over going to do my role in that movie. It's like that's a huge mistake. But
You just never
we
know.
absolutely, yeah. There's absolutely no way to predict what's going to be a success and what's
Mhm.
going to be just a one-off, one season TV show.
No,
What?
but and with going with that though too, it's like you can't think about that at the time. You just one, you have to
Right.
be one happy or excited to get an audition, and two, if you get booked, that's like the icing on the cake. But just to go with it because maybe it will, maybe it won't. But getting booked for something, of course, is your ultimate to goal to book a job and get paid for it. So you just have to roll the dice and see where it goes.
Absolutely.
One of the
I'm just gonna tell
things,
everyone that I was too good for Regina King's directorial
Yeah,
debut.
one of the
yeah,
things I like
you
to
go with
ask,
that.
one of the things I like to ask actors when we have them on here is, I've done a lot of auditions and stuff too, in person auditions and self taping. Um, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to audition in person, or do you like to tape? That way you can kind of get the perfect take and the perfect thing,
Yeah. Yeah, that question's been tossed around a lot, and I can't say I have a preference. Obviously, the self tape is easier because you can reshoot as many times as you want.
Mhm.
The problem with that is though, when you have to reshoot it, let's say 3 times, you still don't like what you saw. You reshoot until you think it's perfect. Well, at some point, it's going to go past what's perfection and just not sound like you're acting anymore. So
Yeah.
the recommendation is just you do 3 takes, uh, pick the best out of those three, and send that in. And they're either gonna get back with you and say hey we want it done this way instead, or you won't hear back at all. Which happens. But when it's supposed to be in person, you get that one shot one time. So you better be prepared, know your lines, and
Yeah.
just make a bold choice and go with it.
And plus, you kind of, you get to look them in the eye. You get to, maybe, shake hands. Or, well, maybe not so much anymore now, but,
Right? Yeah.
shake some hands. Like maybe make an impression when you walk in. So honestly, I think I would prefer to do more in person. Honestly.
Yeah, of course. Nowadays, I think they're doing the either Zoom online or self tape just to weed out
Yeah.
the initial people that they think don't aren't the look they want, or they need a little more work on their acting talent or something like that. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise, I think, in a way for the casting directors.
Do you let it get to you whenever something? Because I've auditioned for a lot of stuff, but there's been a few things that like I really, really wanted. Like I got to audition for like Stranger Things and stuff like that, and just stuff that I really was just like, oh my god, if I get this, this will change everything. And then
Yeah,
you don't get it, and you're just like,
yeah.
man, it's like the rejection is, it kind of breaks you down sometimes. How do you deal with
Yeah.
that?
Well, I be honest. At first, it kills you because you're like, okay, what wasn't good about it? Why was this person better than me? Or all these thoughts start running through your head.
Hmm.
And you can look on many YouTube videos from cast directors who talk about this whole scenario. And you just got to take it with a grain of salt. But anyone who wants to be an actor, you got to realize it's 99% rejection. I mean,
Hmm.
from the start. I mean, the odds of you becoming an overnight success, are like slim to none, unless you're maybe like a celebrity, child or whatever else, maybe perhaps. But yeah, it's tough. It's something you got to work at. You got to learn the job. Learn how to be on the set. Learn how to learn your lines. Learn how to act. If you don't know how to act, no one's gonna pick you up. I
Yeah.
mean, so yeah, it's tough sometimes, but you just got to roll with the punches and know that there's always the next time. There's always the next time. And I just congratulate all the people, that I'm friends with on Facebook who, get auditions or book roles, say, hey, good job, because at some point you're going to get something and then they're going to return the favor. So,
Yeah.
but
It's
you always got to be
actually
supportive.
that's a really good point you bring up. I don't mean to interrupt you, but while I'm
That's
thinking
fine.
about it, that's a really good point for younger actors. Is if you want to be, an actor, the best thing you can do is not only get in like a good acting class and stuff, but get in on productions. Become go be a PA. Go learn how to be a grip, learn how to do lights and things like that. Just be part of the production. That way you can see how things work, and you make friends, because the industry is pretty small. Like, you make a lot of friends really fast.
Networking is a must. And one thing I've learned too is that, you got to establish and build relationships. So Twitter is like my main platform for social media for acting, essentially. So you find the movies you like, you find who the directors are, who the associate producers are, all those other kind of people, and then you follow them on Twitter,
Hmm.
and you just start to make you reply to certain things they post, if you like it, whatever. So they kind of get an idea that if you do it over and over again, they get to see a familiar profile, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying someone's always going to come out of it, but at least they get to kind of know you, but you get to know them as well. And over time, hopefully something could develop. But I believe in establishing or getting the relationship going. Get to know me as a person, and you can see what I post. If you like it, great. If not, but then who knows what goes on behind the scenes? Someone's always looking. Someone's reading something you just don't know. So you
yep,
always got to be on your game.
yeah. If you could have your not really, I don't want to say your end game, but what is your major goal? Do you want to be in movies, or do you want to act like land an ongoing series? Like, what would be your ultimate, like, oh crap, this is it, this is my moment to shine?
Ah, God, that's a tough one. I think the problem with TV series, it would be nice to land a series regular or a series lead role. It's just that you don't know how the audience is going to react to the show. You could go for a full season and then get canceled. You go half a season, or it could be a real hit and you go on. But TV filming is so much different than movie filming. It's very
Mhm.
quick turnaround and stuff like that. So probably more or less, getting a good movie role, either as a lead or a supporting role, even. A good supporting role is always good. It's always needed, which I'm fine with. I mean, unless I'm like a Liam Neeson or something like that, and who gets who gets all these great fighting movies,
Yeah. That dude's like 70 years old and he's still doing action movies. Like, what? How does that
Yeah.
happen? I want to. Hopefully, I have Irish blood in me that he has. That I'll
Yeah.
still be.
Hey, that would have been you if you landed Stranger Things, Jason.
Yeah, no kidding. Ugh, man, that was a tough one.
I,
That was the toughest one for me, honestly.
oh, yeah. Well, there's I keep bringing this up to people. There is a YouTube video that actors need to watch, and it's from Bryan Cranston. It was an interview he did. It was like in this bookstore type deal, and it was his tips on the audition process, and it was very simple, and it makes so much sense. He's like, don't go into the audition room thinking you've got to book this job, because that's just the added pressure you put on yourself, and you're just going to screw yourself, basically. So you go in there, you've got the opportunity to go into a room, present your craft to whoever's there. So you go in there, be yourself, be prepared, make a bold choice, connect with who is ever in there if you can, do your scene, whatever else. If they redirect you, great. If not, fine. Do your stuff, walk out, and forget about it. Don't
Yeah.
put it on that you have got to get it, because then you probably won't. And he went in with that attitude, and I guess once he did that, he's been booking stuff ever since. And obviously, Breaking Bad and everything else happened to him. So But it's just a good mind concept to have. You know, don't go in there thinking you've got to book it just because you got to
Yeah.
make rent, whatever else, because that's not going to cut it for you. And
Yeah.
the camera can see it, and the people in the room can see it.
That's I actually read his book. If you haven't read it, it's a must
No,
read
I
for
haven't.
anybody that is getting into acting. And he had that same thing in the book where it was like he got to the point where when he walked into the room to audition, he's like, you know, if you go in thinking I have to nail this, I have to get it, you know, it just kind of slips through your fingers. But if you walk in with the attitude like I have a skill set that they need me more than I need them, like they need something that I
True.
offer.
True.
So if you walk in with that attitude, like if I don't get it, I don't get it, and that's kind of when things really flipped for him. Was when he
Yeah,
started going in with that attitude of they need me more than I need them.
that is true. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of actors, you know, you give the casting director all the power because you're like, oh my God, you know, how do I impress them? How do I do this or do that?
Exactly.
And every person that, you know, they want to cast the role. That's their job. So they want you to do your best. It's just the pressure we put on ourselves as actors that, you know, it's like, well, you know, what do they want to see from us? It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Even they may not know, you know, or they may know what they want to see. You come in there with this alternative bold choice. You're like, oh, wow, you
Yeah.
know, that's different. And they may, you know, address that to the director. He's like, yeah, you know, maybe we should go with that instead of a man, make it a woman or vice versa, or,
Hmm.
you know, different color. Who, you just never know.
And
It's fair game.
and you're right about that too. A lot of you know most casting directors like they want you to succeed. They don't want you to fail. They want you to walk in and wow them because the less work they have to do, the better. The less people they have to see,
Absolutely.
the better. So
Absolutely.
just walk in there with that mindset, like I have a skill set. I'm gonna do what I do, and if they like it, they'll hire me because they need me. And if not, something else will come along.
And
That will take me.
even if you don't book that role, I mean, if you do a good enough job, they will remember you and they'll
Yes.
think, wait a minute, you know, there's another project that I knew about and I think he might be good for that. So, you know,
Hmm.
they may put you on the back burner, but 2 or 3 projects later or so,
Yeah.
they may call you up and say, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to have that positive attitude about it and just, you know, I don't care, you know, this is me, and that's all there's to it. It's hard. It's a really hard mindset to get into, but
Yeah.
that's what you got to do.
And that's the thing about being such a small industry too. If they see something in you that somebody else might like, you know, they might be friends with another casting director and call them and say, "Hey, we got this guy who might be right for this part that you have." So, just go in there with that attitude. You know, you know, people that listen to this show and want to be actors or comedians, and just go in there with that attitude. Um,
That
eh,
and be nice to
yes.
everybody. God. I mean,
Mhm.
You're
you
that
know, I
Jacob.
was just
Hey, I'm nice to everyone.
I mean, it's been on the news recently too with that one movie that's going to be with J Lo, and I forget the guy that was going to be co-star with
Army
her,
Hammer. Yeah.
Army Hammer. You know, and because of some interview he had with someone and what he said, you know, it kind of it brought him down, and they had to recast the role. You know, then Josh Duhamel, I guess how you pronounce his name,
Yeah.
he's got it now. You know, so yeah, you know, watch what you say. You know, be nice, be professional, but yeah, just be nice. I mean, you get because you never know. You know, today's assistant is 2 years down the road the director or something. For all you know.
We're coming up on the end. We got our 5 minute warning from
Oh,
Zoom. So, um, J-
okay.
Jacob, you want to ask him the question we like to ask everybody?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Oh
Please.
God. Oh boy.
This is very important. Let us
I'm ready.
know,
I'm ready.
where can we find you on the
Oh,
interwebs? Where can
that is.
people find Mr. Steve Hamm and keep up with what you do?
They can find Mr. Stephen P. Ham on my official website, steveham.org. That takes you to my bio, my demo reel, my
With
all my behind the set pics, and all my social media uh, handles and media and fields and all that good stuff. So, but Twitter, it's at Steve Ham underscore actor, I believe, and
no,
then
it's
Steve
just
Ham
Steve Ham
actor on
actor,
Instagram as well.
all one word is what it popped
Oh,
up for
okay.
me.
All right. Yeah, I can't keep those things straight, unfortunately. But I use Twitter mostly for the acting side, and
Yeah.
but I'm on, of course, Facebook as well. You can find me there. So yeah, but I pretty much engage with almost everyone daily on Twitter just to network and just to say hey. So
So one last piece of advice for our listeners who are want to be actors, want to start somewhere, what's your one piece of advice you'd like to leave them with?
Take acting classes and have a positive mindset for all the rejection that's going to come your way initially. But yeah, take acting classes and just if what you really want to do, then go in it with with 100% and don't stop because you're going to hit roadblocks along the way, and those that aren't have the strength for it are just gonna fall out. So it's a marathon. You got to keep a good pace, but yeah, just stick with it if it's what you really want to do.
Jacob, any last words before we leave this evening?
Yes, I would just like to let everyone know, because this is probably going to be the last episode that airs before the show, that January 30th, me and Mr. Jason Robbins are going to be doing some stand-up comedy at B Lux in Biloxi, Mississippi at 8:30 p.m. That's right, B Lux in Biloxi, Mississippi, 8:30 p.m. Come see us do stand-up. It's going to be a great time.
And wear your masks, people. Wear your mask.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah. Wear your
Please
mask.
wear your
Yes.
masks.
But
If you don't wear your mask, you're not going to get into the venue.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
But that's going to do it for tonight's show. If you want to follow us, we're individually. You can follow Jacob Craig Comedy on Twitter. And what's your Facebook, Jacob? Is it Jacob Craig Comedy too?
Yeah, I'm Jacob Craig Comedy on all platforms.
And I am Jay Funktastic pretty much everywhere. So, but if you want to email us here at the show, you can email us at openmikerspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget about our Patreon at patreon.com/ompodcast. Go slip us a couple of bucks a month so we can keep the lights on here at the show. And don't forget, it's at Open Micers on Twitter and Facebook. So we will see you guys next Thursday. Well, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back in 30 minutes with Nerdcast.